Okay. So, hey everyone, welcome to the day two of the demo series on Business Analyst Training Program. Now, yesterday we started with very basic knowledge about what a BA does. Okay. Along with that, we also try to look at some of the good to have skills. Okay. If you have these particular skills upfront, you will have a very smooth career as a BA. Yeah, I'm not saying it will be easy to achieve targets. Okay, nothing is easy. Obviously, there will be efforts involved, but with the right skill set, you can always move in the correct direction. Okay. Now, what we wanted to start discussion today was on course content. Okay. So again, like I mentioned yesterday, uh, I'll show you the course content. So our entire training program is divided into three parts. Okay. The first one is the introduction part, which, like I said yesterday, will take about 5 to 7 days for completion, wherein we are trying to build the basics for the IT industry, like what an IT industry is, what are the different types of IT companies, okay? What do you expect a BA to do in an IT company? What are the other teammates that you will be interacting with? Okay, how the software development happens? What's the software development lifecycle model called? Okay, so we'll cover the basics before we jump into any of the technical topics. Okay? Once the basics are covered, then we move into more technical areas. Okay. So for example, how do you identify stakeholders and manage stakeholders? How do you plot RACI matrix? Okay. Then what are the different elicitation techniques, requirement elicitation techniques that are available to BA? Which technique can be used in which particular scenario? Then what is requirement document? What's the importance of requirement document? Okay, what are the different types of requirement documents? Yeah. Now, along with this, we will also be covering what is meant by requirement modeling, requirement prioritization, and requirement sorting as well. Okay. So we'll cover things like Moscow technique for requirement prioritization. Under requirement modeling, we'll be covering activity diagrams and use case diagrams. Now, this was all till the world of waterfall was there. Then when we talk about Agile or Scrum, we will again be spending some time or couple of days to understand what Agile is, what Scrum is, how different the two are from each other or with waterfall as well. Okay. So once we have built the basics, then we move on to understanding technical topics like what is meant by epic, what is meant by user story, how do we write a user story, what are the essential components of a user story, yeah, what are the different events or ceremonies that take place within Scrum. Okay. Then what's the role of a BA in those Scrum ceremonies? Then we look at Scrum metrics like velocity. We look at how the estimation take place once you have written down a user story. Okay. Now, these are essentially the topics that we will be covering right throughout the course. Okay. We will also be connecting the dots so that you know what exactly is needed from a BA. At the same time, I'll be giving you insights from my experience. Okay. So we'll not make it a complete theoretical session that this is the definition and this is the scenario. Okay. We'll try to make it more of a practical session by, like I said, by sharing the insights that I have gained. Okay. I'll share with you small actionable tips as and when we come across a topic. Okay. So when you hear it, you might feel like, oh, this is such a small, trivial thing. But trust me, when you implement those things, you will see huge variety of differences in your work. Now, along with these topics, we will also, like I mentioned, we will also be giving you assignments, okay, or exercises so that you get to practice these topics Okay, and you get to ask questions as well. Now, what tools or what softwares are we going to learn or that we are going to cover as part of this training program? Okay. So there are two essential tools that a BA must know or must be aware of. Okay. The first one is Draw.io or Visio, which is used for requirement modeling. Okay. I talked about activity diagram, use case diagram. So those diagrams are created using this tool Visio or Draw.io. Okay. So that is one additional topic that we will be covering before we start requirement modeling. Okay. So I'll be spending one day on teaching Draw.io. Then again, when we talk about user stories and epics and running the Scrum ceremonies, okay, during that time we will spend one more day on learning about Jira. Okay. What is this Jira? How to use Jira? What are the different options available, out of which what are the options that as a BA you must be extremely comfortable with? Other than these two, the other requirement for a BA is to know about Microsoft Office. Okay. So when we talk about Microsoft Office, we basically talk about tools like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. Now I assume ever since we get into college, okay, whether in India or outside, okay, you will definitely get exposure to these tools. Okay. We will definitely have certain assignments that we would have done using Excel, Word, or PowerPoint. So we will not be going in details about any of these items. Okay. All the assignments that I'll be giving, they will again more or less utilize your Microsoft Office. Okay, like I may give you an assignment on RACI metrics where you have to create a matrix on an Excel sheet. Okay. So we'll not be teaching you the basics of Microsoft Office. That's not the intention, but as a BA, you must have good knowledge, good grasp on Microsoft Office tools, how to use them. Okay. Now, I'm not asking for any advanced knowledge or you must know advanced formulas in Excel. That's not the requirement at all. But you should be comfortable working on the Microsoft Office suite. Okay. So what we will be covering is Jira and Draw.io. Okay. Now, MS Office, this will be more for practice for you guys. Now, if you are comfortable with these tools, okay, that's more than enough for you to get started as a BA. Now, coming on to the timelines part, that how much time are we going to take to cover this entire training program? Now, in an ideal world, we would expect the entire training to complete within 5 weeks. Okay, but the ideal world is assuming everyone understands everything. There are no follow-up questions, no assignment delays. But to be honest with you guys, when the training starts, definitely students will have questions. When an assignment is given, there sometimes there will be assignment delays as well. Okay. Sometimes there will be follow-up questions with respect to assignments. Okay. Sometimes the students will take in some more time than expected. Okay. Sometimes I'll not be available or someone else. So considering all that, what we have been seeing is the actual duration could go up to 45 hours. Okay. Now we run this training program only on weekdays. Okay. That is Monday through Friday, not on Saturdays and Sundays. But yeah, if there is any requirement, okay, then the training program could be extended on weekend as well. Okay. If there is an extended period of absence on my side, okay, then we can conduct classes on weekend as well to catch up. Okay? Otherwise, the general thing is that we cover the classes on weekdays itself. So 45 hours means it will approximately go on for 2 months. Now, at the end of this training program, what can you expect? Okay? What do you expect to learn? Okay? Now, there are certain key skills that we plan to implant on every student that comes over here. Okay? So, first of all, like understanding who a stakeholder is and how to manage your stakeholders. Okay? Getting into details of how to gather requirements or how to elicit requirements, which technique to use for requirement elicitation, okay, including or focusing on interviewing technique, okay, which is most widely used, most efficiently used, okay, plus wherever you go, 90 to 95% of the time people are using only this interview technique. Okay, now once you get the details, now requirement elicitation step is all about gathering details. Okay, you will have plenty of information, you will get access to plenty of information in this particular step. Okay? Now this information needs to be communicated down to your team as well. So how do you communicate information? We don't send emails or maintain information in bits and pieces. We then move on to something called as a requirement document. Okay. That will be our source of truth, where whatever information we have gathered in the requirement elicitation phase, we try to dissect into requirement document. Okay. Now, while you are putting the information into the requirement document, you will also analyze and validate it. Okay. Sometimes while having a conversation, everything seems so feasible, everything seems so doable. Okay. But when you get back, when you think alone, or when you are thinking about something, that time you get certain doubts, or you run into, you do some analysis and you get into certain doubts that whether it is possible also or not. Okay. So that time you can have what we call as validating requirements. You check with your team members, you go back to the client again, okay, to reconfirm on those pages. Then once you have your requirement document completed, then what are the different people you will be interacting with or coordinating with? Okay, what kind of coordination is needed? What are the different activities that you will again be part of once you once you are done with the requirement document? Okay. So whenever we are done with a requirement, even a client can ask for more changes. It's not that once we have a requirement document ready, it's the end of the world. Okay, even the client can come up with more changes. So how do we handle that? Then if there are no more changes, then what are the other items like preparing release notes, okay, coordinating with team, preparing for client demo, or even for UAT, user acceptance testing? So how do we handle all those things? Okay, that also will be covered. Now, along with this, we will also be having one dedicated session, okay, that is over and above this training program, somewhere in the middle of the training program itself, on how to conduct meetings. Okay. So yesterday I was talking about being a good facilitator. Okay. So you will be working with multiple stakeholders. Okay. So when you work with multiple stakeholders, so obviously you will be conducting lot of meetings. Okay. So as a BA, you need to demonstrate good facilitation skills. Okay. So we will be having one session on how to set up meetings and how to conduct those meetings efficiently and conduct meetings efficiently. Okay. Now this is not part of the course, okay, but before we start deep diving into course, we will spend one day on that as well. Because often what happens is people either come from some different background within IT sector, okay, or they come from a different industry altogether. So it's always a good practice, no? That when you are going to manage multiple stakeholders, we must know how to set up more efficient meetings. As a BA, because you will be attending lot of meetings, so you need to have good communication strategy, good facilitation skills, because we don't want to waste our time or anyone else's time. Okay? So we want to ensure that if I am in a meeting with someone, that make maximum use of that time. I count or I convert that 1 hour meeting or half an hour meeting into productive time rather than, scratching my head after half an hour that what did I do? The participant was not right, or I didn't ask for the questions, or I should have asked more questions, or there needs to be more follow-up meetings. Okay. Now, while you learn these skills, okay, what you will also learn is that how a BA is actually scaling through or doing their tasks, assigned tasks into different phases. Okay. All the work that we do, we will try to go through the SDLC part. Okay, SDLC being software development life cycle. So during introduction, we will learn about what are the different phases of SDLC, software development life cycle, how a PA is contributing in each phase of SDLC. Okay? And then once we get to the requirement phase, what are the different activities within the requirement phase? Then moving on to the next part, we then get into the preparation activities. Okay. So once we have covered all the technical topics and the tools that we wanted to learn, okay, at the end of the course, we will spend around 4 to 5 sessions on on handling some of the things like resume preparation, resume preparation, because ultimately we all have lot of questions with respect to how should we prepare a resume, what all points should we be writing. Now often students ask me for resume preparation in the starting of the class itself. Now I can cover this topic in the starting of the class itself, but the thing is it will not make more sense. I mean, you will be able to create a resume, you all are smart, so students are able to create resumes. But the thing is, whatever points they mention in resume, it's more for being out there. Okay, they really don't understand what we have written in our resume. So unless we cover technical topics like these requirement documentations, requirement prioritization, requirement elicitation, yeah, unless we cover all the technical topics, for you it will not be it will not be good to go out with that resume, okay, where you don't even understand the topics. Okay, so that's why we have it at the last. Then we also will cover what are some of the activities that as a BA you should definitely engage yourself in, and what are some of the activities that you should restrain yourself from. Okay, so BA do's and don'ts. Okay, because a lot of us will be starting as a BA for the very first time. So it will be nice if we can get access to a handbook, okay, about what should we do versus what we shouldn't do. So I'm creating a document around it, okay, based on my learning experience. Okay, I'm not trying to cover each and every scenario in there. Otherwise, it will become like a book and you'll be bored out of it. So I'm just giving you some of the top actionable items. Okay. And then we head into interview preparation. Okay. So at the end of it, uh, so at the end of the entire course, we also want to ensure that we'll prepare ourselves for the interview. So we will go over regular questions or commonly asked questions in the interview. Okay. And we can decide the model on our own. Okay. So generally what I'll do is I'll share the list of questions, and then during the regular class I'll ask a question to the students so that so as to see what answers they are giving. Okay. Now we can do it in one batch. We customized it wherein students wanted one-on-one interview sessions. So I conducted one-on-one interview sessions. So I gave them a list of questions. I asked them to prepare for the answers. Okay. So basically, it's up to the students on how they want to run this session, but there will be a list of questions. Now, I'm not saying every interview will have only those questions. Okay. But those questions will help you prepare or boost confidence in you for appearing for any interviews. Okay. Now, along with this, we will also have a case study that will be given to you guys as assignment. Okay. So, case study will be more for you guys to implement all the concepts that we have learned during our training program. Okay. So, if I give you that case study, how are you going to start with your requirements? What requirements will you come up with? How will you document those requirements? Writing down user stories, epics, prioritizing user stories. Now, before we get into certification sections, I just want to check with you guys any questions that you have, okay, with respect to what we covered yesterday or what we talked about today. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, often students ask for questions on certifications. Okay, so once the course is complete, you will get a course completion certificate from Harsha Trainings. Okay. So this is something that we will provide to you guys, a course completion certificate citing that you have attended this training program from Harsha Trainings and you have successfully completed all the prerequisites for it. Okay. But if you are looking for an external certification, okay, then IIBA is the institute that offers uh, business analyst related certification into three categories. Okay. The first one being ECBA, CCBA, and then CBAP. Okay, these are basically on the level of experience. So this is more of an entry level certificate. So if you have attended any training programs, if you have covered any training programs, you don't have any practical knowledge of BA as such, you can appear for ECBA certification. Now, please note that these certifications are not offered by Harsha Trainings but by IIBA Institute. So they will have their own requirements, like you'll have to pay certain amount to get yourself registered and then appear for the exam. Okay. Now CCBA is for candidates who have some experience working as BA other than just training knowledge. Okay. So so this is more for employees or people who have started working as BA and have around 2 to 3 years of work experience as BA. They can appear for CCBA certification. And the last one is CBAP. This is more of a senior level certification. Okay. So you have around 7 to 8 years of BA work, BA knowledge. Okay. So you have actually work experience. Now, how will IIBA validate whether you have the work experience or not? Okay. So I said in CCBA and CBAP, there is work experience that is required. Okay. So how will IIBA validate whether you have the sufficient work experience or not? So they require a referral from someone who holds valid CBAP certificate. Okay. So the same is true for the next one as well. Okay. So someone should vouch for you. Someone should verify or tell you that this person has the necessary experience and I am actually referring them. Okay. So you see, ECBA is an entry level certificate. CCBA requires some training and experience. CBAP requires more exhaustive experience. Okay. Now, in CCBA and CBAP, like I said, a referral is required. Someone who already holds a CBAP certificate should come up and say that then the person whom I am referring for has the required amount of work experience. Now, on the next slide, I have given certain information with respect to exam structure and then the renewal of certificates. So nowadays, if you see, whatever certifications that you do, they are not valid throughout the lifetime. Okay, they are only valid for certain duration. Most of them offer certifications that are valid in the range of 1 to 3 years. Now, IIBA certification programs are valid for 3 years. Okay. So if you appear for ECBA certification exam and if you successfully clear it, it will be valid for 3 years. After 3 years, you need again 60 CDUs to renew it. So either you can accumulate these points or units, or you can pay a small amount and then renew your certification for 3 years again. The way these exams are conducted, so ECBA, you will have 50 multiple choice questions in 90 minutes. CCBA will have 130 multiple choice questions in 180 minutes, and CBAP will have 120 multiple choice questions that needs to be completed in 210 minutes. Okay. Again, for each of these certifications, there's a renewal criteria. So either you need to pay a small amount or accumulate 60 units to be eligible for renewal. Okay. So to accumulate units, you'll have to participate in events being conducted by IIBA. You'll have to work as a volunteer for them so that you can accumulate these points, or take certain training programs being conducted by IIBA so that they can give you CDUs. Okay. And once you accumulate 60 CDUs, you can renew it. Or if you don't want to volunteer for their programs, then pay a certain amount to actually renew your certificates.
Uh, Actually, I have one doubt. So, in the fee section for the ECBA, there is a USD dollar for application fee and exam fee for member. And what does it mean by a non-member exam fee?
So they offer actually certificates in two formats. So one is you don't become a member and pay a higher fee. So you don't register yourself on IIBA portal by becoming a member. So you don't do any of it. You directly just want to give the exam. You're not worried about their promotional emails, what kind of events they are conducting. So you, without becoming a member, you directly give the exam. So they have a higher fee over there. Or you become a member, register yourself as a member, and then appear for the exam. So you see, obviously, it has a lesser rate for the members. So as to encourage people to become a part of it. So they are trying to build a community of all
It's
business
kind of a
analysts.
promotional thing for them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now, generally, I would like to mention one point over here, that for anyone who is starting their career new into BA, okay, so often it happens, that when we are trying to switch directions. Okay? We don't even know how the road will be ahead for us. So I don't recommend anyone to directly go for these external certifications unless it is mandatory for you in searching for a job. Okay? Suppose you live in a geography or in a country where any BA job requires a certification. In that case, you should definitely go for certification because certification is a mandatory criteria. Like if you look for Scrum Master jobs, they will always have CSM. Any Scrum Master job will always be looking for professional Scrum Master certificate or certified Scrum Master certificate. Some or the other certification is mandatory. Now, so for Scrum Masters, it is important that they go for these external certification. But is it necessary for BA? At least in my experience, I have not seen so far that certifications are mandatory for a BA to attend. Okay? To attend the interview. What is mandatory for a BA is work experience, that you should have some sort of work experience before you appear for the interviews. Okay? So I do not recommend any student that they directly appear for certification, but rather than that, what I tell them is join a company, work for at least 6 to 12 months over there. Okay, now 6 to 12 months is a decent time for you to assess how well are you performing in that role. Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? What kind of difficulties are you facing? How much have you actually learned in the last 6 to 12 months? Okay? Now, if you are comfortable, then appear for certifications. Okay, it will have two advantages. Generally, you can ask your companies to sponsor your certification. It is relevant to your work, it is relevant to your role, so you can ask them to sponsor your certification. That way you will not have to pay anything. Okay, and in the next job you can definitely demonstrate work experience plus certificate. Okay, the other advantage is when you go on for certification directly, it sets the expectation high from you. Now, for someone who has no prior work experience on BA, who wants to start their journey into BA, going out with a certification. So the interviews will be slightly difficult for you. So I'm not saying they will ask you difficult questions, but they'll set the bar high for you. So if they ask 10 questions or 12 questions to you, and if you are not able to answer four questions also, they will think that you are not a good candidate. Okay, because it's not that they are actually assessing you in silo. They are assessing you with your certification as well, that this person came up with lot of expectations. So certification is there, work experience is there, but the person could not perform well in the interview. Okay. Contrary to that, same person in their resume, they don't mention any certification, and if they flunk on four answers, the interviewer will still be happy. Okay, that okay, four answers here and there, it's okay. So it acts as double advantage. So unless certification is a mandate in the job that you are seeking for, then definitely go for certification. I'll not stop you guys. Okay. The course will prepare you for ECBA certification, that is entry level certification. Okay. But if you are applying for jobs where certifications are not mandatory, then I would request you guys to get some work experience and then look for your company to sponsor your certifications, okay, rather than you directly going for certifications. Okay. Now, last thing that we want to cover is the career growth. Okay. Now, generally, why students they want to switch path. Okay, so they might currently be working in a field. Okay. So they either switch path because of interest, that maybe they are doing coding and they are no longer interested in coding, or they feel that coding is more hectic. So out of interest they want to switch their path from a current role in IT industry to a BA role, or out of the growth perspective. Okay. So this growth could come from your roles and responsibilities that you are currently performing. So in the industry where I am currently working, there is no proper growth. I'm doing the same work for last 20 years. Okay, so that could be a trigger for someone, or maybe the salary growth as well. So one is the work type growth and the other one is the salary growth. Okay. Now, whatever your reason could be, the good thing is that in IT industry, but the BA role offers both perspectives. Okay. So if you want to have a good work, that's also there. If you want to have good salaries, that is also there. If you are coming here for from out of sheer interest, then no one needs to convince you at all. Okay. Now, generally, the entire career growth can be split into two parts. Okay. One is for junior level roles. Okay. Junior level roles is where you are actually working under the guidance of seniors or managers. Okay. So, for example, a junior BA, or when you get some experience, you start working as a business analyst only. Okay. But typically, when you are working as a junior BA, you are more of requiring hand holding from your seniors or managers. A BA has some experience, so they don't require hand holding on every scenario, but on certain new scenarios that they have not encountered before. Okay. Then the next comes is your mid-level growth. Okay. So this is where you are now working independently, and at the same time you are guiding juniors as well. Okay. So now you are handling your client meetings all by yourself. You are able to execute your projects all by yourself. Okay. Plus you are guiding or mentoring juniors as well on how should be conducting as a BA. Okay. Now, this is where you'll get posts like senior BA or lead BA. Okay. So, a senior BA is more of an individual contributor. A lead BA is more of a person who is managing multiple BAs under them. Okay. Now, lead BA often translates into PO or product owner roles. Now, Scrum guideline says there is no concept of BA, there is only product owner. Okay. But to be honest with you guys, when it comes to actual companies, they have BAs separate from product owner. Okay. So our goal is to maybe start as a BA, but eventually transition into product owner roles. Okay. If we continue to sit as BA, then the reason why we came, if we came because of growth reason, and if we continue to sit as a BA, then we are going against our reason. Okay. So eventually our goal is to slowly transition from BA to senior BA, and from a senior BA into the product owner role. Then we have more of senior roles where you are managing clients. Okay. I'll not say managing teams, multiple teams. Okay. That is never expected from a product owner. You are always in the client facing role. Okay. So your interactions with client will change. For example, when you are working as a BA, your majority of interactions will be with product owner. Okay. A product owner's majority of interactions will be with client. Okay. Then for a senior roles, you will be working as a senior product owner and then eventually transitioning into product managers. Okay. So as product manager, you will be responsible for bringing in new business as well. So convincing client, trying to talk to multiple clients, telling them how good the product is. Okay. You will be responsible for deciding how to customize a product for a given client. Okay. Now, obviously, when you go through this career trajectory, you can expect salary hikes along the way as well. Okay. So, whenever there's a promotion, there will be good salary hike. Okay. And then from product manager, you can also transition into leadership related roles as well. So, working as a BA, if you can see, offers different roles, different expectations, different responsibilities. It offers you chances to grow your career. Okay. Again, some companies may have more roles in between. So, from product manager, they may say things like senior product manager before they push you into any of the mid level or senior level leadership roles. Okay. But as you go through the different phases, you will definitely have you will have a different role and responsibility, plus your salary structure will also change accordingly. Now, any questions so far? This was our last topic for today. Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. Now, what we will do is we'll be connecting tomorrow again for our last day three of demo series. Okay. So now that we have got a fair bit of understanding about who a business analyst is, what kind of training program we are offering at Harsha Trainings. Okay. So now what we will do is tomorrow we will cover some of the common questions that students have asked us in the past, plus the recent trends as well. Okay. So often students ask, what's the difference between a business analyst and a data analyst? Are both the same thing? Are both different? Why is one term used in one place versus the other? Okay. We have already touched upon this, yes, in our day one of the demo series, but we will deep dive tomorrow. Then, along with it, what's the difference between a business analyst and a scrum master? Both are non-coding roles. So, which one should I pick? Should I go for business analyst? Should I go for scrum master? Okay. Then the next topic would in our tomorrow's discussion will be how is AI shaping up the work that a BA does? Okay. Now, nowadays everyone keeps talking about Gen AI, how the AI agents are coming up in 2025, how the next few years will be completely dedicated to AI. So, how is it going to impact the work that I will do as a BA? So, generally, the often question students have is around the job security. They don't want to understand the nature of AI, but it's more about the job security, how secure my job will be, even if we have a fully fledged functional AI. Okay, so we will cover that topic as well tomorrow. And then again, like I said, we'll be open for any questions that you guys might have. Okay. You can ask questions related to training programs. You can ask questions with respect to any apprehensions that you might have for a BA. Okay. If you want to ask any question related to your personal experience, you can even ask that as well. We'll be happy to answer to any of your questions. Okay, so if you are in India, we'll be connecting tomorrow 8 a.m. IST, same time. If you are outside of India, then please check your calendars accordingly. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Let's connect tomorrow again for day three of the demo series.
Thank you so much.